you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zillner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, we have a very special guest in the studio, a man who you don't want to make angry because you wouldn't like him when he's angry. Lou Ferrigno, welcome on to the Thrive Time show. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I love your man cave.
Oh, you like it?
I'm very impressed. Brick, beautiful books, dogs. I mean, all over the place. I mean, I'm impressed. I love it. It's wonderful. It shows your personality.
Well, thank you, brother. I'm glad you're enjoying the accommodations. Now, I have in my stack of stuff here some great questions for you.
Okay.
I think they're great, and perhaps you'll enjoy them. So here we go. Question number 1. You started working out, if I'm getting it correct. You started getting serious about fitness around the age of 13. Maybe I'm wrong.
13.
When did you first get the itch or that desire, that burning desire to begin focusing on fitness?
Well, at the age of 12, 13, I was obsessed with power. I had how to overcome diversity. My hearing, the speech, because close to birth, I lost like 85% of my hearing. I had a severe speech impediment. So I was attracted to power. So about the age of 12, 13, I just loved to get my hand on any waist I can. They just want to work out because I have friends down the street. They worked out. If they were flex, they would show the abs and their arms and bicep. I wanted to emulate that. So it's about maybe 12 and a half, 13.
So 12 and a half, 13. Do you remember your first weight set? Was it some used gear? Was it weights you found around the house? What kind of gear were you starting out with?
My first weight set is that I went to a junkyard. I got cement pails and a broomstick. I made makeshift barbell set out of cement. I put the broomstick in the cement with a cement hardened. My own weight, I put maybe, I get 6 pails, half full cement, 3/4 full cement, and full cement. Those are my barbells when I was a kid.
And what was your routine like when you were 12, 13 years old? I mean, what time were you working out? Were you working out like an hour a day or all day? Or
No,
what were you?
very sporadic. I would do chin-ups. I would do anything I can to learn about exercising. I know sometimes I would do too much. I couldn't walk the next day. I couldn't go to the bathroom, trying to do too many squats. So it was like a trial and error. But the thing is, I just love working out. You got to remember, at that time when I was doing that, people condoned me for working out with weights. They thought that I needed to see a doctor or talk about what's Arnold Schwarzenegger, bicep, muscle magazine, that food, protein powder, that all I talked about.
Now, again, you are known as the man who made weightlifting popular. I mean, you're the guy who did that. So sometime between the age of 13 and the age of 21, you became a championship bodybuilder.
Yeah.
When did it flip in your mind where it became serious that this was something you wanted to do? When did you start thinking in your mind about Mr. Olympia and these sorts of things?
Well, when I first competed in 19, I competed in my first competition. It was Open New Jersey Mr. Hercules competition. I came 23rd place. But I realized when I stepped on stage, they were taking pictures, people were clapping for me. I said to myself, this is what I want to do. This is my path. I want to be a world bodybuilding champion. I never talked about, never told anyone, but that was my dream. So I to follow that path, to keep working out, to put on more size and muscle in order to win these different competitions.
So, Mr. Universe, you win that at age 21.
Yeah.
Walk us through, if you can remember, what were you eating at the time? Like, what was your daily routine? You're 20 years old. You haven't won Mr. Universe yet, but you can see it in your mind's eye. What were you eating? What was the daily routine like?
You know, that's a good question, Clay, because back then it wasn't like today. It was like a high protein and low carbohydrate diet. I would say maybe no more than maybe 2,500 calories. Yeah, it's like you want to starve the fat and feed the muscle. But today, because of cardio, you can eat more. But back then, it was like a high protein, low carbohydrate, and you're laying on the couch like a zombie, thinking about your next meal. So, no.
What were you eating? Like, what was your were you eating chicken breast or ribeye steaks?
In the morning, I woke up, I had 2 cans of Bucaresto tuna fish in olive oil. Lunchtime, I have a banana and a burger. Supper, I have maybe a whole chicken, or maybe 1 or 2 burgers with water and lettuce with lemon, olive oil, and vinegar. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Every day?
Just about.
Every day.
6 weeks before the competition.
Okay. So, and then when you get into the competition, now you're 6 weeks before the competition and you're trying to lean up, what are you allowing yourself to eat or not eat in those final maybe 2-3 months before you compete?
Well, 3 months you could be on a good balanced diet. You could have like a cheat meal, but the last 5-6 weeks is very intense because you have to really focus on being as defined as much definition you have for the competition. Plus, that also incorporates posing, tanning, besides the dieting and the training. You're trying to conserve that energy just to get by day.
So you won in 1969, I believe. Your age 20-ish is when you
73.
1973. Okay, that's when you started winning a lot of competitions there. But then you met Arnold Schwarzenegger at some point. What age were you when you first met Arnold?
17.
17. Who was bigger when you met?
Well, I was skinny. I went to Madison Square Garden. I remember he first came from Europe.
Yeah.
He competed for the Mr. Universe that evening. I'll never forget, I walked in, and my father was a police officer, so he took me in the back. I had a chance to get a backstage pass. We went in the pump-up room. This was during the prejudging. I remember he was sitting there doing barbell curls, and I'd never seen anybody so big in my life. You know, I'm 17. I looked at him, I said to myself, this is unbelievable, because actually you go from the magazine to in life, you see him in person.
Yeah.
And that had an effect on me. I said, that's what I want to be like.
Now you're 6'5", if I'm correct.
Yeah.
How much did Arnold weigh, and how much did you weigh? When you first met Arnold, how much were you weighing at the age 17 versus how much was he weighing approximately, you think?
I was 172 pounds. Arnold at the time was 230. When I competed against him, he was 228. I was 268.
Wow.
Well, he's 6'1".
So what were the mind games that Arnold would play with you and that you would play with Arnold? Because you guys were known for at that level, you guys are both elite athletes. I mean, you guys are both elite athletes. And if you watch Pumping Iron, which I have watched, and it every single time I watch it, I see Arnold saying things to you. He's playing mind games. You're playing mind games with him. What is going on? What kind of mental jujitsu is happening at the top levels there of competition?
To be honest with you, it wasn't Arnold playing mind games. My father playing mind games.
Your father?
Yeah, because I wasn't in my best shape. I was training for the ABC Superstars. They gave me the green light for Pumping Iron. I trained like 6 weeks for the competition. I had a very abusive relationship with my father because he couldn't stand me losing, so I had so much pressure. But at the time, I wanted to be like Arnold. I wanted to schmooze with people, have a good time, smile. I was very introverted, beaten down. But that's interesting because Arnold knew he was going to win. So that's why it gave him the benefit of the doubt, the fact that he acted like a champion. Because if it was a very close competition, he wouldn't be smiling in that movie like he was, because he would know that he has stiff competition, that there's a chance he could lose.
So what was it? What is your take on Pumping Iron, the documentary that came out that really was the first documentary about weightlifting that made it popular? I mean, I would say it changed the game for fitness. What was your response to, if you look back at it, did you like the documentary? Do you feel like it was fair, not fair? What's your thoughts on it?
I loved it. As a matter of fact, it showed all the housewives, all the mothers, what bodybuilding was. It came out of the shadow. Like, for example, like my mother never seen me work out. But she's seen the movies, she's seen me working out at the gym, because back then women didn't work out. People would learn what bodybuilding was. They hear bodybuilding, they'll think of weightlifting, like the weightlifting you see in the competition, like in the Olympics, but they didn't know what bodybuilding was, a competition. So when the movie came out, it showed the world what bodybuilding competition is.
So the movie comes out, you become a household name. Were you ready for that? What was that like when you walk into a grocery store and now everybody knows who you are? Because previously you probably already drew a crowd because you were the big guy. You walk into a hardware store, people already kind of recognize you're doing something. And you walk into a grocery store, people recognize you. But what was it like when people would yell at you, Lou, or hey, Lou, or people knew you on the street as Lou? What was that like?
It was respect because growing up, putting all the size on, people looked at me like a freak. Like I'd go to a discotheque, trying to pick up girls to go out to dance. They would look at me, they'd be very intimidated. When the movie came out, it showed that it was a sport. It wasn't something that I was like some kind of Andre and Giant from the basement coming out.
So it was a respect thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when were you able to monetize it and turn it into a career? At what point did this become, because you're living a life of poverty at this, I mean, up until you start winning. I mean, when did it become where it became a viable career for you?
Well, I moved to California to train for the 1977 Miss Olympia because after pumping iron, I tried for pro football. I was kind of pushed into it by my father. I didn't like it. Then I moved to California in 1976. I was going to train for the 1977 Miss Olympia. 6 weeks before, I received a phone call with an audition for the Incredible Hulk pilot. I went for the audition, and then the rest is history.
So
That shit to me is a show business.
So the Incredible Hulk, when that came out, how did that change your life?
Unbelievable. I mean, I had to walk down the street, cover my face, because the way I walked, they knew. If I hold my face, cover my face, they would know it's the Hulk. This was like worldwide. It was so overnight that it was unbelievable. I mean, it was like I never expected anything like it.
So and at this point, I mean, my understanding, again, I've got my research here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think you were actually asked by Michael Jackson to train him at some point. Did that happen? Was that a real thing?
Yes, because Michael Jackson's doctor was a friend of mine, Dr. C. Hoffman. He said Michael needs some exercising and fitness training, but he can't go to a gym. And he said, you'd be perfect to train him privately. So Michael and I became friends. It was a great experience for me to get to know Michael because he kind of like trusts me because I admire his passion for music. He admired my passion for fitness. So we collaborated together and became good friends. So I trained him on and off for many years.
And I know you honor that relationship, but I'm not asking you to share anything scandalous. But I mean, as far as Michael and working with him and training with him, do you have a story or anything in particular that you remember about Michael that maybe most people don't know about Michael Jackson?
Yes. He would come to my house 10 o'clock at night. I would open the gate for him, right? He would come in very quiet. I have all the lights down in my house. In the back, I have my gym in the back of the house. He would come in with the mask on and the glove. I said, Michael, why are you wearing the mask? He said, I want people to recognize me. I said, Michael, my dog don't even know you're here. It's 10 o'clock at night. Nobody knows you're here. Okay, I'll take the mask off. and then the only thing I regret that I should have kept his shoes. Because one time he left his shoes on my gym and he forgot about it. I should have saved those shoes. But apparently I think the housekeeper threw it away.
Now, what kind of workouts was Michael focused on? What kind of strength training was Michael Jackson doing?
Too much strength. It was like toning, like with the band, high repetition, because he had major difficulty sleeping. And he wanted somebody to talk to. And basically that he just wanted to, because, for dancing, it was like toning, more toning and be more fit than putting on muscle. Like, for example, stretching, using band, high repetition, just to be more flexible, more athletic.
Did you ever go in the studio with Michael and watch him record?
I'm going to, but the problem is I had to work and then I was back doing a book tour that I received the news that he passed away. But he wanted me to come to the studio because before the concert, he would rehearse many times, almost on a daily basis.
Now, have you trained with other celebrities throughout your career?
Mickey Rourke.
Really?
Chuck Norris. I trained him for years. Chuck Norris. They were great clients of mine.
Chuck Norris. Is Chuck Norris terrifying to work with? Were you afraid that he might kill you at any time?
Well, Chuck, if I said to 5 more reps, he would find a way to do it because I would kill him. You come to me, you got to respect my territory.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay. Final question I have, then we'll kind of open it up for questions from the team here. Donald J. Trump reached out to you, I believe, in 2018 and named you as a member of the Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. What was it like to be recognized by the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, as sort of the face of fitness?
It was great because I remember we went to the White House, on the lawn of the White House. Everyone came out. It was like 100 degrees that day. When President Trump came out, he had one look on his face. He said, hey, I'm going back inside because it's so damn hot. But I'll tell you one thing about Trump. I was on Celebrity Apprentice. That man helped me raise over $100,000 for muscle dystrophy for my charity. That man, hands down. I love the guy. He's a great family man. He's keeping our country safe. Myself being a deputy sheriff, I respect that. Donald's been very good to me, and that's why he's close to my heart when it comes to life itself, especially on The Apprentice. I've learned so much from him about branding. We had so much fun on that show.
Now, you are still the voice of the Incredible Hulk for the Marvel movies, I believe, aren't you?
Yeah, for the first 2 Hulk movies, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Was that kind of surreal watching somebody else play you in a movie?
Well, I wanted to do it during the series, but they had somebody else do the voice. But then later on, it's like icing on the cake for me.
Okay. Now, this is Charles Kolaw. Charles Kolaw runs a business. He and his wife started the business called kolawfitness.com. Kolawfitness.com. They have multiple locations all across America. But this is how he got started. He and his wife turned their house into an actual gym. So you go into the living room and there's people doing squats. You go into the guest bedroom, people are doing bench presses. And they built this massive personal training business out of their house and then transitioned that into a successful gym. So with that being said, Charles, you're running a fitness company. I know you're very aware of the life and career of Lou. I know he's a source of inspiration for you. What questions would you have for Lou?
Wait, before I interrupt, you have a gym in your bathroom too?
In my bathroom?
Well, every room in the house.
I sometimes, if I got to get a pump, right? You just where
I admire that.
That's right.
I almost did that myself. Though.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I was going to say, you are, as far as a bodybuilder, you were one of the largest bodybuilders ever. Of course, I'd done a little bit of bodybuilding, but not like you. But you were huge at one point.
The largest.
What?
I'm the largest ever.
You're the largest. I was going to say, because when you came back, right?
No one's ever been on stage more than 325.
I was going to say, because when you came back after like 20 years, I think you were in your 40s. You came back and you were probably the biggest bodybuilder I've ever seen. And so that was so. What was your top weight? You said what was it again?
325.
325
body fat.
2% body fat.
What?
325 on stage, guys. That's insane. There's not anybody even close to that nowadays.
Well, think about this. For you to know, the hardest thing for me is to develop the hunger to compete again. That was harder than getting in that condition.
Now, I want to make this applicable for all of our listeners, and just to give you some context there, Lou, we have about 1 million people a week that tune into this broadcast. About 1 million people a week are very confused. They can't find another show. They tune in. And when they tune into the show, they tune in because it's a business show. We teach how to grow a company. And what I find, and I call it crap, but core, repeatable, actionable processes to be successful. You got to nail down your core, repeatable, actionable processes. So business is my niche. We have dentists we work with, doctors we work with, lawyers. And I tell them all, you got to find your core, repeatable, actionable processes. And then we as a coaching program hold them accountable to do it. But what would you say to somebody who says, I'm getting bored with doing the same routine, because you locked in for decades? What do you say to somebody who's having a hard time with the mindset of nailing down their core, repeatable, actionable processes?
Are you talking about fitness, or are you talking about
fitness or business, or just?
I would say take a week off, flush your mind out, focus on something else, and then find other small goals you can focus on that leads to big term goal. Because write down the negative and the pro. And look at that carefully. You have to show anyone the negative and the pro, the whole list, and see your inside what your heart tells you what you really want to do. Because sometimes you're involved doing something you're not happy doing. You have a passion for something else. That secret in the passion, if you tap that, that's a secret that brings out to make you very successful. What you just mentioned.
It's powerful. It's powerful. Now, to my left, we have Kevin Falcon. Kevin, he has it's a lawn care company. And it's called Kickin' Grass. Kickin' Grass. So should you find yourself buying a home in Tulsa and you need some lawn care, that's him. There's Kevin Falcon. And so, Kevin, I'm going to have you hop on the mic real quick. You can ask any question you want for Lou. We've got many people, less mics than people, so I'm scooting over so you can ask you a question. Just make sure you hop right on the mic there.
All right, Lou. Big fan. Really connected with Hulk when he had his smash and his passion for destruction. Having all that, though, what would you recommend for a mowing guy to how would the Hulk handle a customer?
Wait. I need to see your lip. Please repeat the question.
How would you handle the Hulk handling a customer who likes to measure her lawn with a ruler?
How would I handle the Hulk to measure the lawn with a ruler?
The customer. How would the Hulk handle as a mower handle the customer who after you're done mowing likes to go out and measure her lawn with?
It would destroy everything.
That's good.
Come on.
It's good. Okay. So, JT, I'm going to have you hop on this mic too. That way we can see you. So, we'll go to Dr. Sherwood. Now, Dr. Sherwood, you have a very successful organization called Sherwood.tv. Dr. Sherwood's on the show every week. Dr. Sherwood, what question would you have for Lou on behalf of the listeners out there that are really wanting to pull some extreme wisdom out of the mind of Lou Ferrigno?
Okay, there's two questions because I've gotten to know Lou as a friend and spent the last couple of days with him in a lot of different settings. Lou, you talk a lot about fear.
Mhm.
That's one question. I want you to hit on that because people have fears about not being able to achieve or fears that maybe they don't know if they can succeed. And the second question is, I want you to address pain. Because you have an interesting perspective on pain. It's not just the pain of physical pain, it's the pain of emotional pain.
Okay, the first question about fear. In life, you have to embrace fear. You know what the number one fear in life is? Public speaking. People would jump out of planes, skydive, not to be a public speaker. People, a lot of times, fear holds them back. The biggest fear factor comes sometimes when people try to lose weight. They can't handle the feel and be successful to change their life because they refrain from that. They have that negative voice saying you're not good enough, good enough. So for me, what I've learned in life, you see, we all have fear, but you learn to minimize those fears. It'd be very hard to eliminate them. If you minimize those fears, it gives you greater sensitivity, more power when it comes to positivity. So that's why you have to go after it, go towards the fear. Don't run away from the fear. The second question, talking about pain, to be a world champion, you have to love pain. The emotional pain, of course, you have to have. Be successful in any business, you're going to deal with failures, you're going to deal with losses, debts, assets, stuff like that. But the most important thing is you have to love that kind of emotional pain and deal with it because that's what makes you rich. That's exciting. If you enjoy that, you're successful. If you can't deal with that, then get out of the kitchen. Right?
Powerful. Now, let me brag on JT before we get him on the mic here. JT Lawson has worked in my organizations for a long time. I met him because he was an employee for one of my clients.
Wow.
And so he reached out to me and he said, hey, I've got approval from my employer. The employer was a basketball training facility, a longtime client of mine called Score Basketball. And JT said, it's okay with my boss. Can I come work for you for free? Because I want to become successful. And I said, okay, sure. So he came and worked for free and was diligent. I mean, I try to get to work every day at 5 a.m. This guy's getting there like at 4:45. He's messing with me. Psychological warfare here, this guy. He's getting to work early every day. And he worked as kind of almost like my assistant / booker for my show. So he's going 90 miles an hour. He traveled with me to many of these events we did. And then at a certain point, he said, hey, I'd like to own my own business. And so now he's gone on to become one of the most respected dog trainers on the planet. So now he trains dogs, and that's what he does. And his brand he runs is called Make Your Dog Epic. That's what he does. So he's a dog trainer. He manages a team of people. You've trained celebrity dogs, dogs for famous people. So JT, I'll give you the mic there, sir.
Sweet. So I wanted to ask you, because for me, I understand to be able to have what other people have, you have to be willing to do what they did. And so my question is, because I've been in the military, I did play college basketball, I worked for Clay, and I'm a very big, I believe having mentors or your team around you is absolutely vital. I believe you can't do it by yourself. And if you're surrounded by people who will constantly bring you down, then you can't reach your goals. So how did you, or maybe you disagree with me, but how did you surround yourself with people? I know you said your dad pushed you and it was kind of not a great relationship. But how did you surround yourself with people who would help you reach your goals?
Well, I carried my father's pain for many years, and I realized that it couldn't go nowhere. And I realized that being so beaten down that I was smart enough to learn that the only way for me to survive is embrace my passion. Like, for example, like your passion. Like, I would definitely like to work for him, free for Clay too, because if I had an opportunity like you, because for me, every day, I'm always open to learn something, as long as you don't have an ego. So my father's situation, when he told me one time, he said, I'm a misfit. He said, you'll never amount to anything, because when he condoned me for that, I realized that I had to do something to go the high road, take a positive way, or otherwise I refrain from the situation, become a drug addict, drink alcohol, and be depressed. So the fire inside of me, I listened to my heart. I said to myself, I'm going to follow my passion, even if I fall on my face. Like a perfect example, Stan Lee for years wrote many different comic books. Did you know many years ago he was at a party, people said, what you do for a living? He said, I write comic books. People walked away from him. They were embarrassed. It was a shame. But Stan Lee, I mean, he wrote comics. He stuck it out. Look, he became a billionaire, like the Marvel Universe. In my situation, that's why I followed my dreams, my heart. I became very successful, not as a bodybuilder, as an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, everything, as an actor. But the thing is, I realized that you had to make that shift. That you have to have a positive support group. If you have negative people, keep conversations to a minimum. Stay away from the naysayers. Always hear the naysayers, because my whole life I kept hearing, if you had perfect hearing, if you had this, if you had that, you'd be successful. I kept sick and tired of hearing if. I made those dreams happen.
That's great. And my follow-up would be, because Kirk Franklin, he talks about how there was two brothers. They both had an alcoholic father who was abusive.
Okay.
And one grew up to be an alcoholic and be abusive, and the other one grew up to be a successful businessman. And then they asked the brothers, why are you doing this? And both of their answers were, because I had an alcoholic father. So that's big, because you took what was a negative and turned it into a positive. And so can you elaborate a little more? Because there's people who have, there's always people telling them, you can't do this because of this, you can't do this because of this. And you can either allow that to affect you and go down, or you can allow that to affect you and go up. So how do you turn that and you fight that negativity and you turn that into a positive?
Well, what's interesting, when you just said, I have a brother that passed away, he was the opposite, the same thing. He was like kind of obese, lazy, watched TV, he had no confidence. I would turn that around, knowing that the fire inside of you, you have to recognize, you have to say to yourself, is this what I want? See, life is about choice. I don't care what people say, people blame each other. You got to make a choice. You make your own choice. You want to be fat, you want to be an alcoholic, you want to be this, it's a choice. Only you could change that. Maybe get some therapy, maybe talk to somebody that's positive. But the thing is, what keeps you going is the passion. If you have passion about something, that makes you successful. That's the key to break through all the limitations.
Right.
I love it.
Wow. Okay. Now I've got a massive stack of questions for you. So here we go.
Okay.
There's somebody out there who's watching today's show that feels a little bit overweight, a little bit, maybe someone else feels a little bit unsuccessful in finances. Maybe somebody else feels like they could be better with their family. And I break these areas of life into a philosophy that I teach called F7. So I try to teach my clients that, look, we have 24 hours in a day, and we can focus on our faith, our family, our finances, our fitness, friendship, fun, and whatever gets scheduled gets done. So somebody who's listening to today's show, you are a phenomenal father and you're really into fitness, but you're financially struggling. Somebody else listening to today's show, you're doing great with fitness, you're doing great with finances, but your family does not like you. So to have success in all of those areas is challenging: faith, family, finance, fitness, friendship, fun. So I want to ask you, what advice would you have for the busy entrepreneurs that watch this show about organizing their day? Do you have any pro tips or any philosophies or any beliefs you have about how to organize one's day?
Well, I've started over my life many times. You got to have that inner happiness. Meaning you got to be happy inside with yourself. That is the core that makes everything else successful. That change your mindset, that change your physicality, that change your attitude with people. It's all about the inner happiness, that drive, and that passion, because it affects relationship, it affects yourself. If you're not happy with yourself, especially when you're inside, it can affect everything else. It's a very simple thing, but a lot of people make it complex.
Now, this is going to, I don't want this to come across as though I think that I'm some elitist. I just want to be very clear about this. I'm very self-aware. You happen to be a guy who's at the pinnacle of fitness. I happen to be a guy who's not at the pinnacle of fitness, but we have to interact with each other today.
Right.
And so what happens is in business is I find that there's a lot of quotes in business books that say you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. However, I have hundreds of employees and I have to spend time with all of them. Some of them are great. Some of them are not. Some of them are great at fitness, but they're not good at their job. Some people are great at their job, but they're not good. So when you're in an environment where you're trying to perform at your peak with fitness, how did you not become the average of the 5 people that you interacted with? Because most people did not have that obsession you had for fitness.
Competing with yourself and maximizing your personal power.
Competing with yourself.
Maximizing your personal power. I mean, for example, I can't compete with you.
Yeah.
You can't compete with me in certain areas. But I've learned to maximize my personal power myself to be the best I can be. That's the best satisfaction you give to yourself. If you can't maximize your personal power, you're going to rely on others for approval, for direction. You're going to compete with other people. you're going to shoot yourself in the lake. It's all about competing with yourself, maximize your personal power, physically, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Inner dialogue. I want to get your thoughts on inner dialogue. I'm a big believer in it. Sometimes my wife or kids will say, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm going, myself. I'm having a great conversation. But I'm constantly talking to myself. And I try not to do it super publicly so people don't wonder about it. But there are times during the day where crazy stuff happens, and I often will clap for myself or talk to myself. And every once in a while, someone will notice, "Who are you talking to?" I'm going, myself. And I'm having a good conversation. So I want to ask you your thoughts on inner dialogue. When you're in the gym and you were doing bench press and you're in there just benching, you're doing squats, what sort of inner dialogue were you having with yourself? Or were you having?
I do the same thing like you're doing. I would feel proud knowing that every day to learn something, that sometimes you have failure, sometimes you're by yourself. Everybody gets depressed from time to time. I would say to myself that all the dreams I've had, I'm reaching my different goals. Like, for example, I'm 73 right now. I got so much more I'm going to do with my life. I'm very happy in my life, even though I'm going through a different situation. But I just say every day, like other words, like I cherish myself. I'm my best friend. If I want to get something, I want to buy something nice. I want to follow my passion. Like I love to shoot guns, like being a sheriff, doing fun things that get me excited because as a kid I was poor. But at the same time, I talk to myself saying the things I really want to do. For example, things that I say to myself, I would tell other people about what dreams I really had because negative people turn you down. But now we get to the point that I'm excited that I tell myself my mistakes, my success, how can I fix it? What can I do tomorrow to benefit, to make things change, to improve my life situation? Consistency.
Now, coaching. I want to get your philosophy on coaching. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, both had very successful careers, obviously, but neither one of them won a single NBA championship without Phil Jackson as their coach. And both now, Kobe Bryant, while he was alive, and Michael Jordan to this day, they talk about how they couldn't figure out how to win a championship without Phil Jackson. And it was sort of maddening for them to know that they couldn't win without him. In fact, Kobe lobbied to have coach Phil Jackson fired, and then he begged him to come back. So I want to get your thoughts on coaching, because I think coaching is so powerful. And I know in my life, I have spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars paying people. And even to this day, I pay people thousands of dollars a month for certain input and advice. What sort of impact does coaching or mentorship make in your life? Or what are your thoughts on that?
You know, Michael Jordan, when he practiced, he played just as hard in the practice game than he played in the real competition. And you know, when I was on Celebrity Apprentice, I kept saying I give 110%, 110%. Coaching comes down to a point. It's about competing with yourself, like I said before, having the confidence and giving the maximum output. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not just about the coaching, it's about the environment around. Because as far as coaching, I call different clients, different people to motivate them. You have to have a whole balanced structure. You got to eat properly, you got to sleep properly, train properly. It's not just the mindset. You got to combine the body with the mind. You got to have a good dietary program to eat, have the brain to function properly, good health. All that comes into play. When it comes to coaching, it has to do with confidentiality and trust.
Wow. Wow. Now, what I want to do is I want to tap into everybody else's questions here and honor your time here. So I'm going to go back to Charles Kolaw, then we'll go from Charles Kolaw with KolawFitness.com to Dr. Sherwood with Sherwood.tv. Then we'll go back to Kevin Falcon. Then we'll end with JT. So Charles Kolaw, again, you run KolawFitness.com. A little context. Could you tell Lou about your gym and how large it is, or just kind of give him an idea so we have some context there?
Yes, absolutely. We started our gym out of our living room, and we trained about 160 clients, my wife and I, out of a little $110,000 or $115,000 house. And anyways, we grew that into a chain of gyms. We've got 6 locations now: Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, and Kansas. We've got, it's a kind of a low cost, high value kind of model. Think of Planet Fitness as kind of like the McDonald's. Kolaw Fitness is like a Chick-fil-A. So we're a Christian version of like a Planet Fitness. And so that kind of sets us apart a little bit there. And then we also do have training. So I'm going to pivot back to fitness.
Yeah.
So going back to fitness, knowing that you were the largest, biggest Olympia bodybuilder ever on stage, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Give me an example of what your training routine was like as far as in your workout then. And then understanding that even though you're the biggest, you've been one of the healthiest, because think about how many people have had a lot of health issues, but you've maintained being really healthy. That's very admirable. So tell us about what your training was like then and how you've done that to do that and be as healthy as you are for as long as you have.
Are you talking about when I came back to competition?
Yeah, talk about like when you trained your hardest at your biggest, and then also how you now are training for just health and wellness and what you do now. So your routine then, and then your routine now. So those
Okay,
two.
when I came back to competition, I announced that the world was making a comeback 17 years. I had to beat all the odds because people expected me to look like the 70 bodybuilders instead of the 90 bodybuilders. Because when I competed in pumping iron, I was the youngest person. When I came back, I was the oldest. So my mindset to myself, besides I mentioned the clay to develop the hunger to compete again, I had to train differently. So I was eating more, doing more cardio. I was maybe taking 300 or 400 grams of protein a day, maybe 500 grams of carbohydrates, eating 5 times a day to work on the posing, because bodybuilding competition is one of the most difficult sports in the world, because you have to be in your best shape one day of the year. If you're off 1 week, you lose the competition.
That's right.
So for me to train, I had to literally do heavy bench presses, heavy squats to build the size again, my thighs, everything. Because to make a comeback, I didn't want to embarrass myself. I didn't want to embarrass bodybuilding. So it was the best.
Because you're the Hulk, right? That's right.
But the best thing I've done, because when I did pumping iron with Schwarzenegger, it was unfinished business. And years went by, I kept saying to myself, if I had one more chance to go on stage. 70 years later, I woke up one morning and said, I'm making a comeback. I signed a great lucrative contract. I made the decision to come back. It was the best thing I've done because I fulfilled that fire in me. If I haven't came back to competition, I feel unfulfilled today. That's what the secret when it comes to life. You need to fulfill yourself with these different things. If you're lacking something, take advantage of it. So I literally trained like a demon for this competition, harder than anybody ever trained before, to bring my body weight up to 325 with 2% body fat. And I came out with a book, video, and a lot of respect from people.
Wow. Charles, do you have a follow-up question there?
I did. Yes. That you are. I'm going to tell you that was like, I think even when I look at pictures, I think when was that? Was that 91? Was that
92, 3, 4? Also, to finish your question, today, afterwards, I made the decision why keep training heavy. There's some bodybuilders you and I know that they keep training heavy. They harm their bodies. I'm 73. I like to eat good, train light. I do machines. I do cardio. I have both knees, both hips replaced.
Okay.
2 rotator cuffs. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm the bionic man, but for both the heavy lifting, I would do it again in a second. But the thing is that when you get older, like in the 60s and 70s, you have less blood flow. Your tendons are more brittle. So you have to train smart, train light. I train the same, but I train much lighter. I eat healthy as I can eat, because the most important thing of all is to have the attitude you have in your head. You have to be very consistent, and just to stay away from the unsaturated fats, carbonated beverages. So that's the way I train now. I wake up every morning, I look in the mirror and say, thank you, God. I have my health today. I'm happy.
God.
I feel good about myself.
Wow.
Man, I love it. Awesome.
Wow. Now I want to go to Kevin Falcon. So again, for anybody who doesn't know, Kevin, he runs a landscaping business. And why I wanted to have him on this show is that there's a lot of, it's very analogous, very parallel, being successful in fitness and being successful in business. So if you run a successful business, you've got to be consistent. You have to be diligent. You have to have a plan.
Yeah.
You have to be focused, positive. You have to overcome adversity. There's a lot. And so this guy has really, he worked at a convenience store, and he just had this vision. He's going to start a landscaping company. He's done it, and he's built it, and he's growing. He also has 6 kids. So he's got a lot going on. So Kevin, what question would you have for Lou?
So I'm out there mowing, and I've just recently started listing things. What is something that you recommend to help people to focus, to get them motivated, to get them to push through the grind?
To get people motivated? I would say the best thing to get motivated is the fact that work on themselves. Like, for example, what do you really want with yourself? Like, the most important thing to be motivated is the fact that you need to get the negativity out of your mind. You need to get rid of that negative voice. I don't know what kind of environment you came from. The thing is, take small steps. Like, for example, when you started the business, were you very successful in 6 months?
With clay, yes.
Very successful. I mean, most people start a business. It takes time to build a business, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you got motivated because you followed your passion. What gets you motivated to have a passion? You have that passion that keeps you motivated. If you don't have a passion, what are you motivated for? Well, what's the purpose of life? You want to have something like Stan Lee with the comics, you in the mowing business, he's with the dogs and everything. But the thing is, it's the passion that keeps you motivated, because that's something that's positive. That's something you learn from. That's something you write down, your positive things you want to do to increase the business. And also the discipline, the consistency, that makes it very successful.
I'm going to go back to Dr. Sherwood in just a second. But before I do that, JT over here, he has this dog named Achilles. And in order for him to train Achilles to the level that Achilles is at, it's required repetitive training. I would argue maybe boring training, maybe training that wasn't the most exciting, but Achilles can now do a lot of different tricks. And so people want the result, but they might not want the repeatable processes that make it successful. So, JT, could you show Lou kind of a dog trick? Can you show him what your dog can do
Well,
here?
what's funny, when you talk about the dog, he's listening. He just perched right up.
Right. I mean, this dog is super attentive.
Wow.
Here we go.
Down. Bang. Oh, right. Back. Good job, buddy. Right.
Pretty wild, huh?
That's impressive. How long did it take you to treat him? I mean, train him.
Everything I've done with him took about 5 weeks in total. But I've done things like he's the bat dog for the Tulsa Drillers. We've also done Savannah Banana games, which they sell out of Major League Baseball games. So he goes and like grabs the bat in the middle of the field and then brings it back, which it seems like, oh, well, that's just you go grab the bat and bring it back. But there's the catchers throwing the baseball past him. You have the whole stadium. When you do Savannah Banana games, there's all the fire that goes off. There's the pyrotechnics. You have the crowd going wild, and there's all these different distractions that he has to be able to listen even though they're going on. Mm-hmm. So it just adds the difficulty to times 1,000. So
but I think that dog understands the words in English. I mean, I had to.
I've been. He is awesome. So
you want to hear a funny story?
Yes.
I have many dogs in my life. I had 2 pugs one time, and I would say to the dogs, "Do you want to go for a walk?" They go for a walk. I said, "Do you want to go?" They go for a walk. I said, "Do you?" They go. I said, "Do." Yeah, it's just I showed them the sentence, but they're so smart they can almost like a telepathic. They can read what you're saying. That's why the same thing. You should have given them a treat because this is the second.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story too, because when I teach backpack, so that's where the dog jumps on your back. I call it backpack because I think I'm funny. But they when you do it, dogs that are smart, they get guessy because, like you said, they're trying to beat you to it because they're like, oh, I know if I do it, it's going to be awesome. Yeah. So, but the issue is when you teach backpack, you have to teach them not to do it when you're tying your shoe.
Wow.
So, because what happened was after I teach it, because people don't think about this. Yes. So then I go randomly one day to tie my shoe and he tackles me. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, you're trying to do backpack. So you have to teach that too, that they're not, because they're smart. So they're just guessing.
Yeah, like if you see a relative or something, or maybe a small grandma or something, you bend over against like, yeah, the dog can be on your back.
So that's the fear. And also the fear is I've taught him to jump through like car windows. So he jumps in and out of cars. I'm like, okay, well, we keep the windows up while we're driving. So he doesn't try to beat me. Yeah.
Wow, awesome. That's a great story.
Well, final 2 questions we have here. So first off, Dr. Sherwood, I think you and Lou are teaming up to do a great event here. Tell us about the event you two are working on, and maybe tell us about that event or any questions you'd have for Lou.
Yeah. So tonight, actually here in a few hours, we're going to do the 25th Night of Empowerment. 25th one. And these are events that are community outreach events that really are designed to give people hope, motivation, inspiration, and even some education. And so we've got fortunate enough to got to know Lou to do this. And so he's going to share tonight his story, his comebacks, and all of the pain he's had to work through to be who he is today, and how that also his story in the future is yet to be written. So we're going to do that tonight, and people are really excited about that. As I've gotten to know you, Lou, over the last, several months, and I want you to comment on this in the area of what we do, because in what we do with my wife, Dr. Michelle, and I at the Functional Medical Institute is we really teach people how to live, longevity, reversing the biological aging processes and speeds, which can be modified now through all the therapies we've got going. So it gives people the idea that they can defeat average. You said something to me that I thought was very cool, because a lot of people think today they can exercise their way to a 6-pack. But you talked about what it takes to do that. Kind of talk about that again, would you?
Well, you got to remember, everybody has a different genetic makeup. Anybody could change their physique, their physicality, if you put your mind to it. But it takes the drive to do it. Like, for example, you and I talked and everything about you have to maximize also the training situation, know how to train properly. Like, for example, say someone has insecurity. Like, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. One time I trained this girl. And, when I as a trainer, I demand results. She came to me after 2 months. Nothing happened. And I was getting upset. And she said she did everything I told her. So what happened, though, the next day, I quietly went out on the street to greet her. She pulled up in front of my house. The back door opens. I see all those donuts falling out. And I looked at her, she broke down, she started to cry. Her father was on the Holocaust. He forced her when she was young to get on the scale every day to be in a certain way. So she rebelled against him. That's what most people do. It's not about your training. That's important. That's why when it comes to life itself, you have to understand where you're coming from. It's not the workout, not the food you eat, the training. It's your connection with yourself, deal with the environment. You have the power, the willpower to take the action to make that body change with yourself. And like I said before, you got to give 100%, 110%.
Yeah, and I just a little follow up with that along the lines of kind of what you're doing tonight. You know, we talk about connecting with the individual person to get the best out of them. And they got to learn to love themselves first before they can begin to even be successful. And you had to overcome a lot in your life to get to where you are. But this applies whether it be to lawn business, gyms, or dog training, to everything you do. What advice, and you've done this to me the last couple of days, what advice would you give someone, anyone out there, and anything they want to do? What's that one phrase nugget that you would say that they need to hear?
Give them faith and hope, knowing that no matter where they come from, what situation they're in, what kind of job situation, that the sky's the limit, that there's no limitation if you put on yourself, that if you take action for yourself, you can be successful. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair, I don't care if you're blind, this and that stuff. There's so many things you can do. It has to come from your heart, from yourself, because in my whole life, I incur every injury. I've been beaten down so many times. I'm going through many different failures, and I had to start over many, many times. You know, and the important things you have to know is that life is very short. I mean, we could be gone tomorrow. You got to worry about today. You got to be in the moment, because you got to enjoy every day. You got to have happiness for yourself. If you're miserable about something, deal with the situation, because only you can make that change. People can give you advice, but only you can take that jump, that decision to change yourself. And it's a hard thing. It's very hard to change. One of the hardest things to do in life, but there's always hope for everyone.
Now, a quick kind of recap and a final question I have for you. Again, for anybody who wants to verify that Charles Kolaw is not a hologram or a fictitious male model, just go to kolawfitness.com. That's that website, kolawfitness.com. To verify that Dr. Sherwood's not just a male model and a stand-in, a hollow head, he's a real person, go to sherwood.tv. That's the real place to go to, sherwood.tv. To verify that JT is a hologram, go to makeyourdogEpic.com. That's the website, makeyourdogEpic.com. And if you learn more about Kevin Falcon and his landscaping empire he's building, check out Kickin' Grass. That's the name of the website, Kickin' Grass. Just do a Google search for Kickin' Grass and then the word Tulsa. You'll find the website there. Lou, I want to ask you, for people out there who are fired up, they want to reconnect with you, they want to maybe buy your book, they want to attend a conference you're speaking at, they want to follow you, where is the best place our listeners should go? Because a lot of our listeners are note takers. These are people that are action takers. What do they need to do to stay in touch with you, sir?
Well, that's why I'm doing the different podcasts, because I'm in a situation right now. I'm going through a transition in my life. But the best way to connect me, like, for example, the people here come tonight, they can connect with me in person, because what it is, when people see me in person, like, it speaks for itself. I'm not a guy that read a couple of books and got a doctorate, got a certificate saying I'm a great speaker, a guru to change your life. I've lived it. I'm not going to mention names. I lived that life. I've been through that life. I've been there. I've been here. I've been there. I can give you the right advice because I've been there. Because when I was young, I wish I had someone like myself I could look up to get a pat on my back and say, Lou, you can do it. You're okay. Don't listen to your father. I didn't have that. I was like in the middle of a pond with a boat. I know which way to turn. But then one day I woke up, I decided that only you can do it yourself.
Do you have a website like louferigno.com, or like, do you have a certain website you send people to, or do you primarily post on a certain social media platform?
I do, but I have to, what you call Real Lou Ferrigno, Instagram, Real Lou Ferrigno, Facebook.
Okay, that's where you want to go. Real Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fake accounts, but you're the real one there.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Sir, you were the heaviest weightlifting champion. I mean, the biggest, the best. You've certainly earned the opportunity to say whatever you want to say. I'll give you the final word, sir. What say you?
Health is your greatest wealth. That's right. It is. You never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. But the Egyptians tried to fix it, but they couldn't.
I'm going to play that back twice. That was powerful.
Let me tell you something. Without your health, I don't care what you have. You have to really pay attention to yourself, be the best physical shape you can be. That's why, like Dr. Sherwood, I was with him today. He drew my blood. He has a new comprehensive blood lab work that could tell me what I'm lacking as far as my vitamins, nutrition, because I'm always open to learn new things. I don't know everything, but just saying I learned from him because he's an expert in that field, especially his wife, Michelle, who's a doctor, what they overcome in their life. It's amazing because I love learning from people to better my life. Like for you, I will learn more for business from you because you're an expert in that field. I'm open to learn things because that's important. That's what makes life rich.
I just can't tell you what an honor it is to have you in Tulsa, Oklahoma, have you here in the Thrivetime Show studio. And I encourage everybody out there to apply what you've learned today. We like to end every show here at the Thrivetime Show with a boom, because boom stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. You can learn all this, but if you don't activate, knowledge without application is meaningless. So I encourage everybody out there to mentally participate and then activate. Go out there and implement what you're learning. So we're going to end this show and every show with a boom. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom!
Thank you.
My name is Kevin Falcon. I'm the owner-operator of Kicking Grass and Taking Names Lawn Care. Overall, I mean, I'm from when I first started to now, I'm like over 1,200%. It's the energy that it brings. It's the revitalization in what you're doing. I see what works. I've gone through the process, and it's just a flood every spring and summer. It's great. It works. It's so much easier. It's like, if you enjoy the pain, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to be successful, if you want to have that freedom, have that, I mean, it happens very quickly. It's not like it's okay, in so many years we're going to get you here. Is if when you implement your systems and your suggestions and your guidance, it happens. It goes. It takes off.
Ladies and gentlemen, on today's show, we're joined by a man who had a job, and he says, you know what? I want to keep my job, and then I want to build something for my family. I want to build some different income streams for my family. I think what today's guest brings to the table is a really large slice of the American pie. Most people that I know, they have a job and they're looking to earn a little bit more money, time freedom, financial freedom. And so he started what I would call maybe a landscaping business or a lawn maintenance company. His name is Kevin Falcon. Kevin Falcon, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Brother, I'm excited to be with you here. And I'm going to pull up your website real quick so you can verify that you are not a hologram. Could you share with us, that website is kickinggrasstulsa.com, kickinggrasstulsa.com.
Yes, that is my website right there.
Could you verify what your first and last name is and what the name of your company is, sir?
My name is Kevin Falcon. I'm the owner-operator of Kicking Grass and Taking Names Lawn Care.
Now, okay, I'm gonna go through rapid fire, no trick questions, just rapid fire. So here we go. How long have you worked with us approximately?
I think this is going to be my 6th year with you guys. And
Andrew always brags on you because you're just a low maintenance, hardworking guy. I want to tap into your brain, and just for anybody out there who's watching this, that you know, maybe they have a job and they're kind of looking to start a side gig or a side hustle or a side company. Could you tell us, what were you doing before you started Kicking Grass, or maybe what were you doing while you were starting Kicking Grass?
So I worked for a local convenience store in the Tulsa area. Worked with them just over 20 years. Actually just quote unquote retired from them, so if you will. But I've always kind of maintained lawns on the side, and it's just something that you know, I feel good at when I accomplish it.
Now, what was your goal when you started Kicking Grass, or where did the name? How did you come up with the name? How did you design that name, Kicking Grass?
So you guys came up with it. There was a moment you guys had mentioned in one of the meetings or at your conference where, have you ever spent 8 hours working on your logo, moving it millimeter to the left, millimeter to the right, trying to perfect it? And, you know, in my early 20s, I was trying to, you know, do all that stuff, and all of it just really hit for me. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It does. The name doesn't matter. The logos don't matter. So they asked me what I wanted, and I said, whatever you got. And they gave me 8 names, and I thought Kicking Grass was great, and I ran with it.
I'm just curious because I was part of that meeting. This is what happens a lot of times. You know, clients will reach out, and we have 160 clients, and the coach will say, Clay, we've got a lawn care company that needs a name. We've got a restaurant that needs a name. And so I'm just sort of long on ideas, but I'm not emotional about which idea you approve or which idea you go with. So it could say step one, we sat down together, we came up with a name. And then the logo and the website, so many business owners get stuck there. As part of our business coaching program, we guide you through the entire path. And part of that obviously is building a website and the print piece and the graphic design. How much has that impacted you having all of that with one flat monthly bill? Like how has that helped you from a peace of mind perspective, knowing, hey, I'm going to pay these guys a flat rate of this. And not only are they going to do the coaching, but they're going to provide photography, video, web, search engine, all those tools.
It simplifies everything. Like I said before, when I tried doing a lot of these things on my own, trying to remember everything as far as the advertisement and things like that portion of it, that's all handled and controlled, so to speak. I just have to worry about closing the deals and getting the jobs done.
Now, this next area, whenever someone thinks about growing a company, they always say, people will come to me all the time, and I'm sure you can imagine these situations. They'll come to me and they'll say, Clay, what's the most important thing I need to do to grow a company? In fact, I was talking yesterday to a lady who's looking to grow her dentistry practice, and she said, at the end of the day, what's the most important thing I need to do to grow a successful company? And I said, it's kind of like asking, a baker, what's the most important ingredient to make, a dessert item? Or it's like asking a landscaper, what's the most important tool you have? Is it the screwdriver? Is it the lawnmower? Is it the weed eater? Is it the leaf blower? And I would argue it's all of those things working in concert. What's your thoughts on that? Because I get asked that question a lot. They say, so with business coaching, what's the most important thing? I want to get your thoughts to that kind of question for somebody who's on the outside right now. In particular, this lady's a dentist, a wonderful dentist, sharp dentist. She has no leads, no real traction, but she's got the degree, she's got the overhead, and she's going, what's the main thing that moves the needle for your clients?
I would say the experience of trying to do all that stuff yourself and realizing there's only so many hats you can wear successfully, and knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, what to give up and who to delegate what to. Just that is the most important thing, realizing your shortcomings and trying to have somebody else maximize that for you.
So we're going to pull this up here. I wrote a book here. I've written 30 plus books. This particular book is called The Millionaire's Guide. And again, folks, if you might have missed it, that website is kickinggrasstulsa.com. That's the website, kickinggrasstulsa.com. And by the way, if anybody shares today's show, you'll help Kevin boost up higher in the search engine. So please feel free to share that URL, kickinggrasstulsa.com, no matter where in the world you're watching from. But if you go to thrivetimeshow.com and you go to /free resources, you can follow along. I've written 30 plus books, and you can download for free one of my books, A Millionaire's Guide, How to Become Sustainably Rich. And if we turn here in that book to page 5, we're going to go through this 90 miles an hour, all the steps here. So step number 1, I'm not asking you to tell us your numbers, but why do you have to establish the revenue goals? Like why is that important for you as a business owner to know what your revenue goals are and what your weekly revenue goals are? Why is that important for you as a business owner?
That way you can judge how well you're doing, where you can improve at. If you don't have a benchmark, then you don't know whether you're meeting your full potential as a company.
And again, you came from a world where you worked very successfully for a long time in the convenience store industry. So you actually worked in a business where you had to know the numbers. You had to know the numbers for the store. You had to know inventory. So a lot of the things we taught are very applicable for your career as well. Box number 2, you got to know your break-even numbers. Whether it's the convenience store you ran or the landscaping company, you have to know how much crap do I have to sell to break even? Or perhaps a more articulate way to say it is, how many customers do I need to break even? How many customers do I need? Why is that important? And why do you think that most of our coaching clients don't know that number before we start working with them?
Because they're just worried about trying to get their product out there and doing it. They don't realize that they may have a little bit of money to start with, and that's going to be depleted real quick unless they figure out, if I don't hit 10 customers a week, that's my break even, let's say, then I won't be able to maintain this lifestyle or this business at all.
Now, we talk about number 3, defining the number of work hours you're willing to work. You are working full-time at a job, having a lot of success in a career, while you were also growing a landscaping company. And one thing I never want to do for my clients is I never want my clients to try to feel the need to work the schedule I work, nor do I ever feel the need to work the schedule that my clients work. So clients always ask me, Clay, what hours do you keep? And I say, well, I really like to work from 5 a.m.-ish to 6 p.m. ish 6 days a week. People say, what? I just personally enjoy the idea of going from 5 to 6, pretty much 6 days a week. I get up around 3. That's what I like. Some of my clients work literally 2 hours a day. One of my clients I just talked to today, he's doing great. And he works less than 4 hours a day, and he's a multi-millionaire. Why was it important for you to figure out your schedule, your boundaries, and the hours that you were willing to work and the hours that you weren't willing to work?
Because for me, it was about the family. We've got 6 kids. And in a blink of an eye, they're moving out, they're going to college, things like that. We're down to our last 2, so I really wanted to make sure I had the time to spend with them, and then it's those little moments to be there for those kids. So with the time I put in with my previous job and the experience I now have while doing my new career, so to speak, I'm able to have that fluctuation and that time and that availability for all my kids wherever they are in their life.
It's powerful. It's powerful, folks. And I think if somebody out there, if you're watching today's show, that's a little, gut check for somebody out there. The whole purpose of a business is to create time and financial freedom so that we can pursue the goals that we believe God's given us. And a lot of that has to do with family. We talk at the Thrivetime Show workshops about sitting down and very intentionally making a list of your goals for your faith, your family, your finances, your fitness, your friendship, and your fun. And all of us struggle in different areas. I mean, some people are incredible family people. Maybe they struggle in finances. Some people are great at fitness. Maybe they struggle in business or whatever. But I encourage everybody out there to take the time to do that. Box number 4, we got to figure out how to make your company stand out in the clutter of commerce. How do we define your unique value proposition? How do we do it? Who are your top 3 competitors? How do we compete versus that? And we try to help our clients do that through marketing and branding. And I want to kind of move on to box number 5, which is branding. We want to make sure your branding is incredible. I ask everybody out there watching today's show, rate your website and your print pieces on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. Rate your marketing on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. And ask yourself, how highly would you rank your own website versus your competition? And that's the kind of stuff will help you bridge that gap and make your website, your photography, your video great. Box number 6, you have to have a 3-legged marketing stool. And Kevin, as you know, there's endless people reaching out to you, trying to convince you that this is the best way to market. You should try this ClickFunnels, do this magazine ad, do this mailer, do this thing, join this chamber, go to this networking thing, do this trade out sort of, it's like where you do bartering and trading. There's a trade association. And if you're not careful, you get pulled in multiple directions. How is it, from a peace of mind perspective, how has it impacted you knowing that generating leads is not a problem for you now?
It's good. It's wonderful. I'm very skeptical now of everything else, like you were mentioning, the mailers, the magazine joiners, and all that stuff. I see what works. I've gone through the process, and it's just a flood every spring and summer. It's great.
So you would say, you now know it's wonderful. You've gone through the process. You now know what works and what doesn't work. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's big, because I think somebody out there doesn't know the process. They haven't gone through this process. They're running around looking for leads, scavenging for leads, and you set a flood. You just have a flood that comes in every spring. You just know it's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Okay. Box number 7, having a sales conversion process. And some people adhere to this very fastidiously, some not as much, but you have to have sales scripts, recorded calls, print pieces that make sense. And at the end of the day, you have to track your results. Can you talk about the impact that tracking every week with a business coach has had on your life and business, where you weekly look at your numbers and you actually track those numbers every week?
It's mind blowing to see how many leads we get. We've even started tracking like how much acreage we've mowed. I think we're somewhere just shy of just under 1,200 acres that we mow for the season, things like that. It's astonishing to see when you go back over these numbers, just to see how much you've actually accomplished. Because when you're in the moment and you're performing the task or the service that you have, you don't really notice all those details until you can step back and look back at what you've done and accomplished.
And one of the things that's so great about working with you is, I know you're going to come in on Friday. There's homework you have, there's homework we have. And it's really fun to help somebody, because money is just a magnifier. And so if you're out there today, and I'm telling you, if you're struggling to get leads, you too can do it. Hey, by the way, do you know who Lou Ferrigno is? He's the guy who played. So. He was the Incredible Hulk back in the day. Remember the Incredible Hulk?
Yeah.
Did that resonate with you? Did you care about the Incredible Hulk? Was that a big thing in your life? This isn't a trick question. I'm just curious. Were you a big?
I like the Hulk a lot. Yeah.
I'm giving you an invitation right now. Check your calendar. Seriously, the Incredible Hulk just reached out. He's going to be on my show on Monday or on Friday at 1 p.m.
Okay.
Friday, 1 p.m. He's going to be in the studio. So if you want to be in the studio to interview the Incredible Hulk, I just found out he's coming to Tulsa. He's going to be in our studio. I just found this out. So if you want to be there, open invitation to you, friend. I know Friday's the day you normally meet with Andrew, but you did, because most of our clients are not in Tulsa. So if you want to take advantage of that, you, me, Incredible Hulk, it's Friday at 1 o'clock. Friday at 1 o'clock. Okay. Now, next is box number 8. You have to know you have to determine your sustainable customer acquisition costs. This might blow someone's mind. I'm going to give people some facts here. Folks, did you know from our upcoming business workshop that it's going to cost me over $170,000 of cash to put that thing on? I don't think people recognize that. So when you talk about, let me walk people through this. You got Eric Trump. This is President Trump's son. This is the guy who runs the Trump organization. You've got Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the top entrepreneurial author of all time. You have myself, and I work very cheap. You have Tom Wheelwright, the financial planner for Robert Kiyosaki. I just got off the phone with the law enforcement community. I mean, we've got security. I mean, we've got a Secret Service detail. We've got lunch. We've got the dinner. I mean, you get this because you ran a very successful convenience store. You know how costs can pile up.
Yes.
And so I'm not at all shocked that this just in, folks. If I'm spending over $150,000 to put this on, and there's only 300 people here, how much am I spending per person on putting this together? Someone might say, you're spending $500. Yeah. So I'm just being real. The costs can creep up and you say, man, why does it cost that much? Kevin, you've been to our workshops. I mean, we offer a workbook. We serve lunch both days. We bring in first-class talent and speakers. Could you explain the impact of attending the workshops and what that's made on your life and or business?
It's the energy that it brings. It's the revitalization in what you're doing. They talk about a lot of times in lawn care how sometimes, a lot of us are solo operators. And you get a loan and you're out there and you're by yourself. It's always good to get back refreshed, see everyone else in whatever element that they're in. They're excited, they're pumped, they're hammering down the fundamentals of business with you and just making you kind of reevaluate, a self-reevaluation of what you're doing and how you're doing.
I just encourage, and do you ever laugh at the conferences? Do you laugh at all or not?
Yes.
Okay, because it's just so raw. I absolutely love it. Okay, so next area here, box number 9. You got to create repeatable systems, and I won't ask for the name of the convenience store you worked with, but I can say you were very successful in that field. And so that business is all about repeatable checklists and processes. And my dad had an opportunity to work for the same great organization that you did. So may my dad rest in peace, but he worked there as well. And you talk about checklists, you talk about scripts, you talk about daily to-do lists. You talk about no bathroom goes uncleaned. You talk about greeting customers with a smile. You talk about an expectation of excellence. You talk about no uncovered shifts. You talk about high and tight uniforms. You talk about mystery shoppers. You talk about merit-based pay. You talk about, there's so much we could talk about from that business that's applicable to this one. But could you talk about what it's like to build these systems and to have our team help you build these systems for your own business?
It's a lot of trial and error, but it's also, as the saying goes, it's better to be a pirate than a pioneer. So having said that, I was able to mirror a lot of what I was already doing and just copying over and translate and just kind of changing words here and there for my business. That way it could apply to what I do. And just, like I said, just taking those great ideas, I see that it already works and applying it for me.
Love it so much. And again, folks, for anybody who's scoring at home, if you're scoring at home, that's sort of an odd thing that you'd be scoring right now at home. But if you are scoring at home, that's kickinggrasstulsa.com. We'll continue here, final 4 minutes together here. Box number 10, management systems. Once you start generating leads, you got to manage a team of people. You have to manage a team of people, and we talk about that. Once you're managing a team of people, you have to hire people. Box number 12, you got to learn how to hire people. How do you find people? How do you recruit people. Box number 11, you got to have a repetitive weekly schedule, a schedule that's sustainable for your family. You mentioned you have 6 kids. I've got 5 kids. You have me beat. You win. There's a competition. I just lost. You just won. You've got 6 kids. I've got 5. What I'm saying is all of this is what makes a successful company. It's not just branding. It's not just marketing. It's not just videography. It's all of it. So if you had to describe to somebody the growth you've seen maybe as a percentage over the past 6 years, are you up 1%? Are you up 10%? Have you grown by 1 lawn, 2 lawns, 1%? Is there some way to quantify the growth you've had over these years?
So from last year, I'm up by around 7% from last year. Overall, I mean, I'm from when I first started to now, I'm like over 1,200%, just within the first couple of years of what I was doing it to where you guys have gotten me. I mean, I was less. I mean, like I said, we started following how much acreage we mow. So when I first did this, the acreage was barely nothing. I'm up to almost 1,200 acres a year now that we're doing. So there are some measurable points that we have.
So just to be clear, and I want to make sure I'm hearing this correct, you're saying since working with us that you're up over 1,200% in that time?
From my first year, yeah.
That's an incredible thing. I think somebody out there, because I know when I was starting my first company, DJconnection.com, full disclosure, I haven't owned it in years, but this is what would happen to me. You know, Kevin, I would go to a conference and they would say, you got to build a world-class website. And I would think to myself, I'm going to have to hire a guy. I called my web guy. I'm not complaining. I'm just being real. I called the web guy, and the web guy's like, well, it's going to be, this is the web guy now, first-class website guy. He had built the website for Garth Brooks and other leading people. He'd said, well, it's going to be, $6,000 a month for a year for the website to maintain it. I'm going, okay. Again, I'm building America's largest DJ company. I don't know it yet. We're doing like 2 weddings a weekend, and this guy's telling me $6,000 a month, and he says, however, for your website, Clay, you're going to need a video for the website. I'm going, yeah. So for clients like colawfitness.com, we build their website, and we make a video for them. That's included. But this guy said, you got to make a video. And I said, well, how much is that? He said, I don't make videos, but you can call my video guy. And I'll never forget, I called the video guy, $10,000 he wants for a great video. And I'm thinking, $4,000 a month for you, $10,000. I remember I was trying to figure out public relations and how that works. And so I'd heard about this cat named Michael Levine. And I thought, man, I need to get, because my web guy does the web, my video guy does my video, but nobody knows how to do public relations. I know what I'll do. I'll call this guy, Michael Levine. I've read his books. And I paid $25,000 for 3 hours of consulting. And this goes on and on. Can you maybe articulate for anybody out there that's on the fence who's thinking about scheduling a free consultation with our business coaching program? I mean, obviously, you've been a long-time client for a long time. Can you explain for anybody out there, if they go to thrivetimeshow.com and they schedule a free consultation, that part's free, but can you kind of explain that what the monthly fee, what you're paying versus what you're getting in your mind as a business owner?
You don't know what you're missing until you go and see what you can get. You know what you're going through as a business and what you're trying to accomplish and all the things you've gone through, but it's a free consultation. It's simple. It's easy. They're very workable with you. They provide a very guided stepping stone. And if you've done any of it on your own, as soon as you see it laid out in front of you, you're going to be like, oh, this is a much easier path.
Final question I have here for you. You're stuck in an elevator with somebody. I know you're a man. You didn't say, Clay, please let me on your show. Different. You're a guy who's humble. You're behind the scenes. You're raising your 6 kids. I think you'd probably rather be at the dentist than being on today's show. And I appreciate you stepping out of your comfort zone. So you're stuck in an elevator with some guy. You got 5 minutes until the rescue comes. And he's like, so, tell me, give me like a 60-second. How has the business coaching program impacted you? And would you recommend it?
It's for me, it's experience. And I've been there and I've butted my head against the wall and I've gone through what you guys have given me and it works. It's so much easier. It's like, if you enjoy the pain, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to be successful, if you want to have that freedom, it happens very quickly. It's not like it's okay, in so many years we're going to get you here. Is if when you implement your systems and your suggestions and your guidance, it happens. It goes. It takes off.
You know, I'm super excited to see you Friday morning, but also if there's any way I could see you for that Lou Ferrigno interview, I think that'd be awesome. I think you'd have a lot of fun with that. We can harass him. I want it to be 2-on-1 where it's not just me versus him, because he's a big man. He's the intimidator. He's the Hulk. So maybe if you show up, maybe I'm less nervous. Maybe it's a good fit. If you can't, I get it. But open invitation this Friday. I'm not BSing you. I just found out the Hulkinator, the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, is going to be in studio at this office, coming specifically for this interview at 1 o'clock on Friday. So if you want to be here, you are invited, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Come on out, Baxter. What's the matter? Can't you handle it? Baxter. Get away from me. Stay away. No, please.
Clay, my honor to be on your show, and thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learned from you, so congratulations.
And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. Hi, I'm Kelsey with K&D's Woodward Finishing, business owner at 23. So I've been working this K&D's company for about 5 years now, and we started working with Thrive not too long ago. And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. That's what we're going to hit or exceed. So we're pretty excited about that. It's been pretty much just listening to what they have to say. Their hiring process has just really been incredible as far as finding good quality help, and the just the accountability of meeting up with them weekly, and like such good insight, the resources that they have for specific business questions. It's all been really incredible. It's been a great experience, so I would recommend it to anybody.
Hi, I'm Amy Cheney. My husband and I are owners of Cheney Construction here in Pampa, Texas. And I was a little skeptical at first because my husband's tried to do things like this before. But once I was able to speak with Clay myself, I thought we need to give this a chance. So we were able to determine that the savings that we have from the decision that we made each month is going to be roughly about $2,000 a week, so it's about $8,000 a month. Plus we also made the decision to get rid of a billboard that hadn't really brought us any business, and that was another $475 a month. So we're looking at $8,500 a month, and that's a really big deal. So my first thoughts when Clay introduced us to the weekly Know Your Number system was, no big deal, we don't need to do that. We have a secretary that's an amazing QuickBooks person, and so she enters all of that stuff every single day for us. So we don't need to do that ourselves. QuickBooks will pull a report, that's all we need. We don't need anything else. There's no sense in me double duty. Clay, do you understand how many transactions are in our bank statement every single month? It would take me forever to do. So very resistant, because I thought we already know our numbers. We already have everything into QuickBooks, and we already know what we need to know, and we can pull a report to provide you with that information. So some of the struggles in being able to complete this action item were getting the want to do it. Once I actually decided, okay, Clay, you can stop asking me. I'm actually going to sit down and do this every single week, and actually got through it. That was it. Like, I've made that commitment. It takes me maybe 20 minutes on, every Saturday morning to go in and do the previous weeks. Now that I've been doing it for a while, I'm kind of on a roll, and so it makes it a lot easier. So one of the things we discovered when we started looking at the money this closely was that my husband doesn't want to know the numbers, first of all. He pays good money to have someone do that for him because he just doesn't want to know. It's not his thing. And so I had worked for an accountant previous to this, so that's kind of my thing. So for him to be able to sit down and take a look and see some of the things we're spending money on that he probably didn't even realize, or to realize how much we've been paying some employees that were not operating as A players. That was the big eye opener for my husband. But when he saw the numbers of what we were paying in payroll expenses for two team members that were not operating as A players and hadn't been for quite some time, that was a huge eye opener for him, and he realized that he needed to take that emotion out of that decision and make it a business decision. It's accountability for your secretary as well, or your bookkeeper, whoever does your books, especially if it's not yourself, because if you've not ever had anybody embezzle money from you, then you're very fortunate. So it's really good to have that accountability. We've had that happen in the past to us, and so my secretary's actually even come back to me and said, hey Amy, I really appreciate that you're doing this now, because now at the end of the month, if there's not any money, then you know exactly where the money's went. You and Jimmy have known exactly where the money's gone. So we're not coming to her going, where's all our money? Because that's not a good position for her to be in either. So like I said, just knowing where your dimes are going is a huge deal, and being able to know where to cut back from, that's a big deal, but also the accountability for everyone on your team.
My name is Danielle Sprick, and I am the founder of D Sprick Realty Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. After being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years and my 3 kids started school and they were in school full-time, I was at a crossroads and trying to decide what do I want to do? My degree and my background is in education, but after being a mom and staying home and all of that, I just didn't have a passion for it like I once did. My husband suggested real estate. He's a home builder, so real estate and home building go hand in hand, and we just rolled with it. I love people, I love working with people, I love building relationships, but one thing that was really difficult for me was the business side of things. The processes and the advertising and marketing. I knew that I did not have what I needed to make that what it should be. So I reached out to Clay at that time, and he and his team have been extremely instrumental in helping us build our brand, help market our business, our agents, the homes that we represent. Everything that we do is a direct line from Clay and his team and all that they've done for us. We launched our brokerage, our real estate brokerage, 8 months ago. And in that time, we've gone from myself and one other agent to just this week, we signed on our 16th agent. We have been blessed with the fact that we right now have just over 10 million in pending transactions. 3 years ago, I never would have even imagined that I would be in this role that I'm in today, building a business, having 16 agents. But I have to give credit where credit's due. And Clay and his team and the business coaching that they've offered us has been huge. It's been instrumental in what we're doing. Don't ever limit your vision. When you dream big, big things happen.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school. I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.
What I've seen from Clay and his group at Thrive is they'll give you a simple system, and it's the simple systems are the ones that people can wrap their brain around. They're the ones that people can work with on a day-to-day basis.
Hi there, my name is Stephanie Pipkin. I am 24 years old and I own Black River Falls Cleaning Services. We opened in April of 2019 and it is now mid-June of 2020. So I wanted to talk today about the success and growth I have achieved by implementing the Proven Path with Clay Clark's team and my business coach Luke from Thrivetime. It has been insane to say the least. I started working with them in mid-February of this year, so we're about 4 months in of working together, and it has completely transformed my business in pretty much every facet. So I'm gonna check my notes here. So in 4 months, my leads have tripled. I was getting probably like 2 leads a week. Now I'm getting more in the like 10 to 15 leads a week. I have doubled my number of employees. I'm now hitting the highest revenue weeks in the history of the company, week to week it seems like. We went from about 6 appointments today as our highest in February to now 14 to 15 appointments a day. And hiring quality employees has become much simpler and less stressful by using their systems for hiring. I typically only get maybe 2 complaints a month, if that, and everybody shows up to work. I just have really high quality employees now, especially in something people typically consider a high turnover type of work, you know, cleaning houses, cleaning businesses. I have amazing employees now, and I get rid of the ones who are not so amazing and bring on new ones because of, you know, group interviews and interviewing every single week. It's just been great, and such I don't waste as much time on low quality candidates anymore. And your coach will hold you accountable. I mean, which I love. Again, the tough love is really great. You know, Luke's like a stern father figure, but he's also nice, but also stern when he needs to be, when I'm being lazy and not doing the things that I know I need to do because I don't want to do them. So that's just great. Worth every penny. I mean, I'd pay him $1 million a month if I can, and maybe someday I'll be able to, but I would just say go for it. If it seems like a good fit, just go for it. Do what they say, even if you think it's stupid or ridiculous, just do what they say because it'll work. You know, people, when they look at my business, you know, people in my town, they think I'm lucky. They think I'm just, you know, things just happen for me. And, you know, maybe I am lucky, but it has a lot to do with hard work and, you know, perseverance and, you know, working till you cry sometimes. That's just being an entrepreneur, which if you're a business owner, you understand that. But it's having these systems in place of, you know, of course I'm going to be successful. It's an absolute because I have all this stuff in the background happening, and I have Luke and Clay and everybody on their team working really hard to make sure that I'm a success. And I can tell that they are just so excited every single week when I'm having all these wins and things like that. They're so excited for me. So it's the best thing ever, and I would suggest to anybody to work with them. So sorry for the long-winded reply, but I just had so much to say, and I could go on for hours probably about how amazing they are. But thank you to Clay and Luke and the entire team there, everything you guys have done for me, and I am so excited to continue to work with you for years to come. Thanks so much for watching.
My saying is, if it's important to you, hire a coach. And I think that's one of the reasons people are not successful is they eat a cheeseburger instead of hiring a coach, you know what I mean? And so my coach pushes me. They're younger than me. They push harder. They're trained. And as my rich dad always said, you know, amateurs don't have a coach, but professionals always have coaches. So I've always had coaches for whatever was important. You know, my rich dad was one of those persons. I wanted to learn how to play Monopoly in real life. So he was my coach.
Well, Carter, we have an opportunity here at the Thrivetime Show to work with some really great business owners, people that are actually serious about growing their company. They go to thrivetimeshow.com and they reach out to schedule a free 13-point assessment. And oftentimes I hop on the phone with these folks and we figure out if they're a good fit. And once we start working with a client, our goal is to help the client to actually grow their actual business. And on today's show, we're joined with a man who we've had the opportunity to work with. The company's called NWA Gutter Perfection. And my understanding, Carter, is that they're up over 60%. Is that right?
I would say that's correct, yes.
DJ, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing, Clay?
I'm doing great. So for anybody out there who is doubting whether you're a hologram or not, what's the name of your company, sir?
Gutter Perfection.
How did you guys first hear about us? Do you know?
It's actually a friend of mine found out about your business conferences there, and then we went there. And I guess I was sold the first conference we went to.
If you go to nwagutterperfection.com, you can see they're a real company. They're a real business. They really are growing. What markets do you service there, DJ? For people out there that might be looking for your services, what's the market area that you service?
Pretty much all of Northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, Springdale, Fayetteville, Rogers, the little surrounding towns there too.
And again, if you go to the website here, folks, nwagutterperfection.com, you can see they are a real business, real people having real success. DJ, I really do appreciate your time today, sir, and we'll talk to you soon.
What I've seen from Clay and his group at Thrive is they'll give you a simple system, and it's the simple systems are the ones that people can wrap their brain around. They're the ones that people can work with on a day-to-day basis. And that simplicity brings power with it. So it shocked me how simple some of the stuff is. And at times I'm like, why didn't I think about that? Workflow creation, systematic marketing, and coaching has helped our church so much. The workflow creation is what it really is they're gonna look and see every moving part of your church, of your ministry, what needs to be done. And it's gonna go up on a massive board. And so now what it does is it takes what needs to be done out of your heart and out of your head. Really takes the pressure, the stress off your shoulders, and it puts it on the board where your entire team, your ministry can see exactly what you want them to do every day. And so they know this is the playbook, this is what we're doing. And then there's laser sharp accountability with a meeting afterwards, did it get done or not?
Clay, you're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. I think YouTube is a tremendous educational platform for good and bad. So you've got to really choose your teachers wisely, as anything else. So the best lesson sits in the back here, and I think you do it and Dr. Z does it. Once you learn something, if you really want to learn it, you got to teach it.
I think it was life-changing for me and how I approach business. Could you explain Octa non-verba, what it means and how our listeners can apply it?
Clay, you gave me goosebumps, man. I'm glad it hit you as hard as it did. Octa non-verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments with Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was Octa non-verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do.
Well, the first time that I ever met you, Clay, was at that first conference in Tulsa. And that was an incredible conference. And I was so impressed with just the whole thing, just the professionalism, you as a person, your business, your work ethic, and really just who you are. And I was very impressed with all of that. And I thought, gosh, this might be someone that I would really consider working with. Like maybe he could really help me. And that's really what got me interested, because I was so impressed with just the professionalism of all of it. And I learned a lot. I come about once a year to a business conference, and I'd like to come more, but every year I try to come with my marketing girl with me. And we always learn something. And I think next year I'm going to bring my husband because he really needs to come too.
And you're in McKinney, Texas, right? So how long have you been an orthodontist in McKinney, Texas?
So I've been an orthodontist for 26 years, practicing in
26 years.
McKinney.
And when you went to medical school, what percentage of the time in medical school or dentistry school, dental school, did they spend teaching you how to market and or grow your own practice?
Absolutely zero marketing skills.
Okay. And from when I talked to Andrew, you're the coach who works with you, I'm always hearing that more and more patients are coming in from Google. Could you talk about that? How much of an impact does it have having maybe a rebranded or updated website and Google leads coming in?
It has had a huge difference, absolutely huge difference in our patient load coming in. And, before I really wasn't tracking really well. And that's one of the things I learned from Thrivetime Business was how to track patients coming in, how to really, how to see where they're coming from. And at the time, I really didn't know much about Google. And, being an orthodontist for 26 years, I didn't really know a lot I kind of went through a time where I went through shock. It was really what I call culture shock because the old ways of marketing were not working anymore. And because I really didn't know about online marketing, I was still doing, phone book ads and magazine ads and all of these things. And so Thrivetime has really helped. And I will say that it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you stay the course, you're going to see results because I'm absolutely convinced.
Dr. Christ, thank you for allowing us to take up some of your valuable time today. I really do appreciate you, and I can't wait to see you in person here soon.
All right. Thanks so much, Clay.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Okay, Aaron Antis, March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, guess who's coming to Tulsa, Jerusalem?
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, that's March 6th and 7th. You're going to be joined by Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki. Best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Probably the best-selling or one of the best-selling business authors of all time. And he's going to be joined with Eric Trump. He'll be joined by Eric Trump. So we got Eric Trump and Robert Kiyosaki in the same place. Aaron, why should everybody show up to hear Robert Kiyosaki?
Well, you got billions of dollars of business experience between those two, not to mention many, many, many millions of books have been sold. Many, many millionaires have been made from the books that have been sold by Robert Kiyosaki. I happen to be one of them. I learned from the man. He was the inspiration. That book was the inspiration for me to get the entrepreneurial spirit, as many other people.
Now, since you won't brag on yourself, I will. You've sold billions of dollars of houses. Am I correct?
That is true.
And the book that kickstarted it all for you,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that kickstarted your career.
Yeah,
he's going to be here.
He's going to be here. I'm pumped.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States and soon to be the 47th president of these United States, he needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it. And we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. And then you add to that Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You add to that Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump Organization. You add to that Sean Baker. Now you might say, but Clay, is there more? I need more. Well, okay, Tom Wheelwright is the wealth strategist for Robert Kiyosaki. So people say, Robert Kiyosaki, who's his financial wealth advisor? Who's the guy who manages, who's his wealth strategist? His wealth strategist, Tom Wheelwright, will be here. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in the it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns the what do you call that? The rental,
storage space.
Storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the day here is March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, we just got confirmation. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he'll be here. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump Organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. I think that's going to change your life. I promise you this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Now, don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life-changing. It is life-changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life-changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right, really. So if you're looking to have life-changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you, it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
My name is Claire Yinger. I was looking to learn everything about business, which I have learned so many things. It's like drinking from a fire hydrant. I'm gonna have to do it again, multiple times. What I've learned so far has been, just a lot about processes, systems, the power of them, your due diligence. The list could go on and on and on. Well, listening to Clay is very entertaining because he is entertaining, but also just meeting all the different people and having time and space to you're learning a lot, but then also being able to discuss with other people what they're learning and just getting different perspectives. So very entertaining, very funny, very thorough, but also could be random because it's full of a lot of stories, but it's also intentional. It's like everything he's doing is intentional, but you wouldn't be fully aware that it was, but it is.
This song goes out to my main man, Kevin Falcon. Kevin Falcon. And Kicking Grass. Landscaping, baby. The other day I was looking at my grass, thinking about ways to make the time pass, and I thought about prank calling people I don't know all morning. So I called 918-872-0338. I put that call through and the phone rang. Somebody picked the phone up. They said hello, and then I said what up. Next thing I know, I'm scheduling a professional to landscape my lawn and to mow that grow. It was like a show on the mowers they go, back and forth whacking that grass like whack-a-mole. It was total control, the way they roll, a kicking grass, mow, blow, and go. It's like the Super Bowl of the mow show. I was so impressed, I gave them mow dough. I even offered to mow slow, wishing and hoping that I could prolong the show. But they said no, and I said whoa. I tried to film that thing on my video, but my phone was full, almost overload, filled with videos from the garden show. We kicking grass now. We're kicking grass now. We're kicking grass now. It's like that now. It's like that now. You better go and kick that grass up off your land now. You better go and kick that grass up off your land now. You better go and kick that grass up off your land now. You better go and kick that grass up off your land now. You better go and kick that grass up off your land now.